Today I'm going to build a bookshelf, and I'm going to build it out of one sheet of plywood. One sheet of plywood is 4 feet wide by 8 feet tall. My bookshelf is going to be 8 feet tall, and it's going to be 1 foot deep. I'm going to cut it into 4 1-foot sections, 2 for the side posts of the bookshelf, and the other 2 long ones are going to be cut up into the shelves themselves. 8 feet is 96 inches. If you divide 96 inches by 3 to get 3 bookshelves per 1-foot plank at 96 inches, that makes 32-inch shelves. I'm going to have to make 2 of the shelves a little bit shorter because one of the shelves actually will be the top, one of the shelves will be the bottom, and I want that to be longer across the top of the 2 boards that I'm going to cut out, the long ones, and one will be the bottom, the base. All the others will have to fit inside, in between the 2. Like I said, the top will be a little bit longer to fit over the top, and the other one on the bottom will be a little bit longer to fit on the bottom. I'll show you how I do it. Alright, so I've got my sheet of plywood. So here, in this case, it is pine. It's a 4 foot by 8 foot sheet. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and measured out 1 foot from the edge, but I've also put on painter's tape so that when I cut it, it doesn't splinter off so much. The other thing is, if you take notice down here, you can see the line that I've got right here. That's where I'm going to be cutting, and then I've got this as my guide all the way across. It happens to be 1 9/16, just a little over 1.5 inches away from the edge, because that's the distance between the edge here and the blade here. If I take 33 away from 96, I have 63 inches left. If I divide 63 in half, that's going to give me 31.5 inches for each of my shelves. That'll give me enough room to make it perfect so that 33 fits on top. Instead of 32-inch bookshelf, I'll have a 33-inch bookshelf. Because my ceiling is exactly 8 feet high, I can't have 2 sideboards that are exactly 8 feet high, or I'll never be able to get it into the building. Because as you tilt it, the distance between the front end on the top side and the back end on the bottom side would be longer than 96 inches by about ½ an inch. So I have to cut some down. I took advantage of this and I cut several pieces that will act as supports for the shelves, and I'll show those to you right now. Here are 4 little sections that I made, 4 little pieces that are 7/8 of an inch across. And the reason I made these is to support the shelves, which works out perfectly because I have 6 boards that I cut out, 1 for the top, 1 for the bottom, and I have 4 shelves that are going in between. So this will act as a support on this side and all on the left side, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other board that's beneath it, and then I'll have 4 supports for the left side as well. So for the left side and the right side, whatever. So you'll see it in the end. So I've done the bottom. So this is the one that was 33 inches wide. Now all the shelves should fit in the middle, being 31.5 inches. I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the bottom here, on the top. And what I did was I put the side that's going to be facing us on the bottom, on the floor, so that I could leave a little space here. See there, it's about 1/4 of an inch. It's just enough room for a backing. See there how the wood kind of chipped? That was the edge of the plywood when I bought it, so I chose to have that facing the back wall. So that's the start of it. This is how I put on a shelf. So you can see I've got a couple shelves down there that are already on. What it is, I took off 7/8 of an inch up at the top when I was shortening it so that it could fit up to the ceiling. Here I've got clamps on both sides, and what it allows me to do when I have clamps on both sides is to know exactly where my board is on this side. So I'm able to put in a screw here and a screw over there. Now typically on the outside of your bookshelf you wouldn't have anything. This will probably be the center bookshelf. There you go, there's the bookshelf. Way up there at the top I have it anchored to the wall because we live in California where we have earthquakes. And I've got 1 more shelf to put in, which won't happen until I cut up another sheet of plywood. But other than that, it's looking really good. So there's the bookshelf. I've got it outside because I'm going to sand it now. We're going to sand it, we're going to stain it. Just going to use polyurethane using a semi-gloss. Now this is 100 grit sandpaper, but I also have 150 and 200 grit sandpaper. And then I have this little thing that will hold the sandpaper in place with those little nails right there. Today I'm going to be sanding this bookshelf Some of these edges you can see are not sanded. See, like right there, you can. That's got to come off. So I'm going to sand all this before I stain it. Sanded everything down, looking pretty nice. Now I'm going to head and I'm going to go ahead and put on the polyurethane. I've elevated it here, right there, and over on this side I've lifted it off of this bucket with those. So I'm going to do all the inside and the front edge, and then I'll leave the back side to do later on. I'm all finished. That took me an hour and a half to go from one side to the other. And I started on the back side first and worked my way to the middle, and then I went to the other side, worked on the outside, worked my way to the middle, and then the last thing I did was this front right here. It says on the can to let it dry for 4 hours. Coated this 3 times, the whole bookcase. And now I'm going to do a light sanding. This is a 220 grit. It's probably much lower than I'd like it to be, but that's the highest one that I've got. So I'm just going to do a light sanding on this thing, like no pressure. And that should take off anything that would be considered sticky, although I can tell you, after the 3rd coat, it doesn't feel sticky at all. I might not have to do much at all, except for places where I have, you know, maybe like a little drip or something, where it's too much. Look at that grain. It's beautiful. Just shiny and shimmery. Golden even. There's the finished bookshelf.